Imagine waking up to the sound of your own property being vandalized, not by some random thug, but by your HOA president. Bolt cutters in hand. Smiling like she's doing you a favor. And then watching her luxury SUV slide straight into your backyard pond because she couldn't resist trespassing one more time. In the sun-dappled suburbs of Maple Ridge, Virginia, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under a perpetual blue sky, Alex Thompson thought he'd found his slice of the American dream. A modest ranch house on a half-acre lot, complete with a small retention pond that doubled as a fishing spot on lazy weekends. Alex was the quiet type, software engineer by day, gardener by night. He'd moved there after a messy divorce, craving solitude. Not drama, but in neighborhoods like this, peace wasn't a right, it was a privilege doled out by the Homeowners Association, ruled by the iron fist of Barbara "Barb" Kensington, the self-appointed guardian of community standards. Barb was the epitome of suburban royalty, mid-50s. Impeccably coiffed blonde bob, always in pastel cardigans and pearls, spouting platitudes about preserving property values while micromanaging everyone's trash cans and mailbox colors. She chaired the HOA board with a zeal that bordered on religious fervor. Her meetings less about maintenance and more about moral grandstanding. "We're a family here," she'd coo in her saccharine southern drawl. But cross her, and you'd see the claws. Alex's trouble started innocently enough with a simple chain-link fence around his backyard. It wasn't flashy, just sturdy enough to keep out the occasional deer and stray dogs that wandered from the nearby woods. He'd installed it himself, double-checking the property lines with a surveyor app on his phone. Everything was kosher. Or so he thought. One crisp autumn morning, as Alex sipped his black coffee on the back deck, overlooking the pond shimmering in the early light, he heard a metallic snip-snip echoing from the edge of his lot. Peering over, he spotted Barb, crouched like a suburban ninja in her Lululemon leggings, wielding bolt cutters with the precision of a surgeon. She looked up, not a trace of guilt on her Botox-smooth face, and waved cheerfully. "Morning, Alex. Just doing a little community cleanup. This fence of yours, it's not up to code. Honey. Could be a real eyesore for the neighborhood." Alex set his mug down, his pulse quickening but his voice steady. "Barb, that's my fence. On my property. I have the permits right here if you want to see them." He pulled out his phone, but she waved him off with a tinkling laugh that grated like nails on chalkboard. "Oh. Permits? That's cute. But our HOA bylaws supersede all that nonsense. Section 7.2 clearly states no unsightly barriers without board approval. We're all about harmony here, not division." Alex bit back a retort. Section 7.2? He'd read the bylaws cover to cover. It was about holiday decorations, not fences. But Barb was already striding away, leaving a gaping hole in the mesh where she'd clipped through, her sensible loafers crunching leaves as she hummed a tune. Alex stared at the breach, feeling a mix of bewilderment and quiet rage. He patched it up that afternoon with heavier wire, muttering to himself about busybodies. Little did he know, that was just the appetizer. Word spread like wildfire in the neighborhood group chat, "Barb's doing." Of course. By evening, Alex's inbox pinged with a forwarded email chain, "Concerned resident alert, unauthorized structure posing safety hazard." Attached were blurry photos of his fence, captioned with dire warnings about potential child endangerment and decreased curb appeal. Neighbors chimed in with thumbs-up emojis and supportive comments like "Thanks for keeping us safe." "Barb." Alex scrolled through, his jaw tightening. He wasn't one for confrontation, years of corporate meetings had taught him patience. But inside, He was cataloging every detail, the timestamps on the emails, the angle of the photos that could only have been taken from inside his yard. He installed a couple of discreet trail cams that night, solar-powered and hidden in the foliage. Just in case, he told himself. Though a small voice whispered it was for the inevitable rematch. The next incident came faster than Alex expected. 2 days later, under a gray sky threatening rain, he caught movement on his phone's camera app while working from home. There was Barb again. This time in her gleaming Mercedes SUV, idling at the property line. She hopped out, clipboard in hand, peering through the patched section like a health inspector at a greasy spoon. Just measuring for compliance, she called out when she saw him approaching. Her smile was all teeth. No warmth. You know, Alex, this pond of yours, it's a liability. What if a kid wanders in? We're thinking of petitioning for a barrier around it. Alex crossed his arms, the wind rustling the trees behind him. The pond's been here since the 70s. Barb, it's grandfathered in. And kids? This is private property. She clucked her tongue, jotting notes. Private? In our community? Everything affects everyone. That's the beauty of HOA living. As she drove off, her tires kicked up gravel, leaving divots in the soft earth near the fence. Alex watched her go, noting how she'd veered just a tad too close to the slope leading to the water. He reinforced the posts that evening, sinking them deeper into concrete, and added a motion-activated floodlight aimed at the vulnerable spot. Not aggressive, just practical. Barb didn't take the hint. A week passed with petty escalations, anonymous notes taped to his door citing violations of rules that didn't exist. Whispers at the community mailbox about Alex being the antisocial type who hides behind fences. One neighbor, egged on by Barb's posts in the HOA Facebook group, even stopped by to express concern. Barb says your setup could lower our home values, the guy mumbled, avoiding eye contact. Alex smiled politely. Tell Barb if she's so worried about values, she should stop cutting people's fences. The rumors snowballed. Alex was paranoid, reclusive, maybe even up to something shady with all those cameras. He endured it silently, documenting everything, screenshots of the posts, timestamps on the notes. Patience, he reminded himself. Let her overplay her hand. Then came the storm, a relentless downpour that turned the backyard into a muddy quagmire. Alex worked through it, rain pattering on his roof like impatient fingers. Late one afternoon, as thunder rumbled in the distance, his phone buzzed with a motion alert. On screen, Barb's Mercedes creeping through the widened gap she'd cut earlier, tires spinning in the slick clay as she navigated the incline toward the pond. She got out, umbrella unfurling, her face set in triumphant determination. Just a quick inspection, she shouted over the wind, as if that justified the trespass. Alex stepped onto his deck, rain soaking his shirt. Barb, that's my land. Get out. She waved dismissively. Nonsense. HOA oversight allows access for safety checks. Your pond's overflowing, could flood the street. It wasn't. Of course, the retention design handled it fine. But as she turned back to her car, the ground betrayed her. The rear tires sank into the softened earth, the SUV tilting precariously. Barb's eyes widened in slow-motion horror as gravity pulled the vehicle sideways. Mud flew in arcs, splattering her pristine outfit. The Mercedes slid, groaned, and plunged into the pond with a spectacular splash, water erupting like a geyser. Barb scrambled out the window, drenched and sputtering, Her pearls askew. You did this. You booby-trapped me, she shrieked, pointing a manicured finger. Alex couldn't help a wry smile. No. Barb. You cut the fence. Nature just enforced the boundary. She fumed, pulling out her phone to call the cops. Her makeup running like a bad watercolor. The sheriff's deputy arrived within minutes. Lights flashing but no siren, small-town efficiency. Deputy Ramirez. A no-nonsense guy with a mustache that screamed authority. Listen to Barb's histrionics, he lured me in. It's assault by property. Ramirez watched the camera footage Alex provided, his expression shifting from neutral to amused. Ma'am. This shows you entering private land uninvited. Multiple times. Barb puffed up, her voice dripping with faux indignation. But as HOA president, I have a duty to the community. He's the one with the illegal fence. Ramirez shook his head. Fences are legal. Trespassing isn't. Call your tow truck. As the deputy drove off, Barb stood there, water pooling at her feet, her empire starting to crack. Neighbors peeked from windows, phones discreetly filming. By nightfall, the video was circulating. HOA boss takes a dip, pawn claims another victim. Alex didn't post it, someone else did. But he saved a copy. Just in case. The backlash was swift and savage. Barb went on the offensive, flooding the neighborhood forums with tales of Alex's hostile environment. He's spying on us all, she posted, attaching edited photos of his cameras angled inward. Feel unsafe? Sign my petition for mandatory inspections. A few loyalists rallied. But cracks showed, people grumbled about her overreach. Her safety checks that felt more like power trips. Alex stayed mum publicly, but privately emailed the HOA board with evidence, timestamps proving her trespasses, county records confirming his property rights. Let's keep this civil, he wrote, though inside he seethed at the smears. One evening, as dusk settled over the pond, now infamous, Barb marched up his driveway, waving a stack of papers. You're fined $500 for non-compliance, she declared, her voice echoing off the houses. Alex took the papers, scanning them. This isn't even on official letterhead. Barb. And look, typo in association. Amateur hour. She snatched them back, cheeks flushing. You'll regret mocking me. The community stands with order. As she stormed off, Alex overheard a neighbor chuckle from across the street. Order? More like disorder. Things escalated into absurdity. Barb organized a neighborhood watch that suspiciously patrolled only Alex's lot, her minions snapping pics and muttering about violations. One night, his cameras caught her husband, a meek accountant named Harold, sneaking near the fence with a can of spray paint. HOA rebel scrawled in red drips before the floodlight scared him off. Alex cleaned it up, adding the footage to his growing dossier. Barb's emails grew unhinged. Your pond is a biohazard. Algae could poison pets. Attached, a petition with forged signatures. Alex responded with lab results he'd quietly commissioned, crystal clear. Thanks for the concern, he replied dryly. The irony burned. Barb, champion of rules, breaking every one to maintain control. Public opinion shifted as her antics piled up. A local blogger picked up the story, HOA headache, when oversight becomes overreach. Comments flooded in, many siding with Alex, she's the real hazard. Barb doubled down, going live on Facebook from her pristine living room, tears glistening. This man has terrorized me. His fence is a symbol of division in our harmonious community. Viewers weren't buying it, Memes exploded, photoshopped images of her Mercedes as a submarine. Caption: Barb's new ride. Alex watched from afar. His patience a weapon. He attended an HOA meeting unannounced. The room buzzing with tension. Barb presided like a queen, banging her gavel. Item 1. Enforce fence regulations to prevent accidents. Alex stood. Accidents like driving into private ponds? Snickers rippled. Barb's face twisted in fury. Sit down. You're out of order. But Tom, the vice president, cleared his throat. Actually, county maps show Alex's lot is exempt from HOA covenants. It's 20 feet outside the plat. The room erupted in murmurs. Barb slammed her gavel again. Fake news. We'll appeal. Desperation made her sloppy. Fake survey flags popped up along Alex's fence overnight, followed by a county inspector who turned out to be her nephew in a borrowed vest. Alex filmed the charade, posting it anonymously. HOA's finest at work. Viral gold. Barb retaliated with flyers stuffed in mailboxes. Beware the recluse, cameras everywhere. But metadata traced them to her printer. Deputy Ramirez paid her a visit. Ma'am, this borders on harassment. She batted her lashes. Officer, I'm protecting the children. He didn't bite. The climax hit like a thunderclap. 1 midnight. Alex's alerts blared, shadowy figures near his shed. He flipped on the lights, revealing Barb and Harold planting what looked like a hidden camera in a fake birdhouse. Smile. You're on candid camera. Alex called out. Phone recording. They froze. Barb's face a mask of shock turning to panic. This is for community safety, she yelped. But Harold bolted, leaving her scrambling. The footage went to the sheriff. Raids followed. Barb's attic yielded a stash of spy gear, all linked to purchases in her name. Arrest for unlawful surveillance, falsifying reports, vandalism. As cuffs clicked, she wailed. This is a witch hunt. I was upholding standards. The neighborhood watched from lawns, some cheering quietly. In the aftermath, the HOA crumbled. Board members resigned en masse. Meetings canceled indefinitely. Alex's pond returned to tranquility. Frogs croaking under starlit skies. Barb's house went up for sale, her reputation in tatters. Harold filed for divorce, whispering apologies to Alex over the fence one last time. The documentary crew came knocking, turning the saga into suburban siege. When HOA goes rogue, Alex sold the rights, using the cash to upgrade his garden. Peace, finally, felt earned. But here's the kicker: was Alex the villain for fighting back with facts and footage? Or was Barb the real threat, hiding tyranny behind community smiles? You tell me, in a world of overzealous rules, who truly deserves the pond plunge?